last week on Brago 24/7. So now that we laid the foundation of where you're coming from,
yes.
You hit rock bottom, you were watching TV and like, oh my gosh, I'm 50, I'm this, my life is over, and then realizing it's not over. And then you said that you started seeing a therapist. So let's talk about like what steps did you take to start living a better life? Because how old are you now? Because how long have you been on this journey?
52. I'll be 53 this year.
So the journey is pretty recent, and so once you started taking these steps of I need to change. Let's talk about that.
Right.
Yeah. Hi, I am your host, Lyanette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Just give me my space to move. It's my thoughts, what I want, and I want what I
want. And interesting enough, I'll call it, I guess I'm going to call it the second chapter of my change. Because when I first started getting sick off and on about, what's it been? 12, 13 years ago, having off and on problems. And so that's when the functional medicine doctor came in, because she boldly one day, because, sometimes it takes a while to fix the problem, whether it's, like some of my autoimmune issues, whatever. And I remember being in Kristen's office, and I'm going to say her name because she saved my life, and she's not even my therapist, although you feel like you're with a therapist. And I do appreciate my therapist too. Yeah. But Kristen Oja of Stat Wellness saved my life.
Really?
I am here because of her. Because she gets to the root cause of everything and how the mental connects with the physical. Because one day I came in, she's very gentle, but when I was having a hard time with a few issues and it just wasn't going away, and I sat there, I said, this is never going away. And I literally said, I want to die, because I was in so much pain. When you're in pain off and on for months and you're not getting answers from other doctors, so she incorporates functional medicine. Now, medicine has its place. If you do need something for a little while, like me, look, you need an antibiotic, sometimes you need an antibiotic. But she looked at me, and as sweet as she is, she looked me dead in the eye, and she goes, you have to change your mindset now.
She said it just like that.
She did.
How did you feel when she said that?
Well, you know what? It actually hit a reset button, because it reminded me of back then when I had to change my frame of mind again. Because what happens is when you're in pain, whether it's physical, mental, and it's drug out, it just goes all out the window. You forget your tools for a while. You just can't think straight. Just like, if you're sick and irritable, you're not going to have a good attitude that day. I guess when I was trying to change my mindset again, I guess so with that, but here I was in my 50s again, and I have been, feeling burnout of what I've been doing for years work-wise, and I remember looking through my journal and ideas and things I wanted to do but never tried, and then it also hit me, and it's funny, I forgot that I wrote these words. Or rather, it was a question. I wrote to myself in the journal, Lydia, why do you get in your own way?
Wow, that's powerful.
I found that.
How old were you? Do you remember when you wrote that?
Oh my God, that was like, let's see, I'm 52 now. So that was probably from like 5 years ago.
Okay. So you saw it and it kind of like,
yeah.
Why do I get in my own way?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it also clicked. And I honestly don't have an answer for this, but it's almost like a light bulb goes off. And it's like either something finally became unstuck, Is it God telling me? Is it my dad tapping me on the shoulder? Maybe it's all of it.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, when I realized that, you know how you have kind of like flashbacks?
Yes.
And I saw the pattern I was taking.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like constantly, and then I started flipping, and I advise this to anybody, when you journal from time to time, flip back. I know you're not supposed to go back in the past, but sometimes you might need to go back to relearn something.
That is so true. I agree with that. Yeah. And sometimes you forget what you wrote.
Yes.
And you go back and you're like, holy crap. Or, I go back and read my stuff because it's very helpful. It is. It
really is. It's like a little gentle reminder, and it gets you right back where you need to be.
Yeah.
Because even anybody that has a positive mindset, we're not perfect. We can have our days. I mean, it's like for instance, like I love this definition. This is from, where is it from? Because they put it very well. So I saw this in verywellmind.com, and it says, mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. It influences how you think, feel, and behave in any given situation. It means that what you believe about yourself impacts your success or failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's it to a T. So if you think about it, so here I was comparing myself with other people. I could even be, oh God, never do this to yourself. I vow I'll never do this, but do not compare yourself with people on Facebook.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, thank you for saying that. I say this to certain, there's certain, I'm like, come on now. Do you really think their lives are always like that? And this is the other thing. And let's just say it is exactly how they're portraying it. Yes. And you're jealous of that by looking at it. Yes. Then maybe you need to start figuring out why you're jealous. What is it about their life? And maybe make some changes because you're jealous because you're lacking. There's something lacking.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how I perceive things. So maybe I feel like maybe there are some people that really truly live their best lives. And if I want to live my best life, then I need to figure out how to go about that. So it's good either way. It's either don't compare, or if you are comparing and you're feeling these negative emotions or these feelings, figure out why and make a change. Like, it should inspire you to be like, you know what? I'm tired of just sitting on my ass and like feeling this way. I want to live like that. And I want to make some changes. Yeah. So the whole comparison thing, and we all have our gifts and purposes and talents that are so different from each other.
Absolutely.
That instead of saying, oh, I wish I could sing like that, which I say that a lot. I'm like, maybe one day. I always say when I'm in heaven that God will give me the gift of song, of being able to have a beautiful voice. Because if he gave all that to me on earth, I would be a little too much. I would be like, ooh, I would be full of myself. So maybe it's best that he didn't give me all the talents. But
that means you need to put that on your bucket list.
Yeah.
And you go take a voice lesson.
Oh my gosh.
Even if it's just one time.
But the crazy thing is, like, my family's like, Mommy, you don't know how to sing. My husband's like, you don't know how to sing. But I have some friends, we've done karaoke. They're like, Lyanette, your voice. I'm like, no, it's because I'm an entertainer. So while I'm singing, I'm dancing and performing. So it looks like I know what I'm singing, or, that I sound good. It's just because I know how to, like, put on a performance. There's a difference.
You know what, though? But you know what? Guess what you just did, and it's an automatic habit.
What?
You just got in your own way.
I did.
You just got in your own way.
But I don't think I need to be a singer, though. But
you know what? You could sing in the choir at your church.
That's true.
You could.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. Or you know what? You go somewhere, a club somewhere, fun with your friends, and you get on that stage and just do it.
Oh, that part, I have zero hesitations. I love that. I don't even care if I sound crazy. I will do it.
I love that. See, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and that's part of mindset. Because when you step out of your comfort zone, then that leads you to take the next step.
Yeah. Well,
facing your fears.
I was recently in Germany so I have friends that are twins, and they take a trip every year, and they just turned 50 this in December. And so we went to Germany. It was the two of them, me, and then one of their childhood friends. And we literally were in this little town in Germany, and we went to a karaoke bar. It was so small, very intimate. And so we found some seats, and we found it out from the locals because they're not shy, I'm not shy, none of us were shy. So we're talking to people everywhere, and they're cute. They're little blonde, like little, you know, like the little Barbie dolls. They're so cute. So of course they look alike, so they create a lot of, you know, attraction and attention. So we found this little place, and they were karaokeing. So I was tired. It's not that I didn't want to do. I was just like, I don't want. They were all younger, and then one of the twins was like, "Nope, I put your name, and you're gonna sing this song." And it was, I think, like an Outkast song, like and I don't know if you know Outkast, but it was one of their songs. And so it came on, and they were like, "Go up there." So I got up there, and I just started singing this. I think it's the "Hey Y'all" song. Hey, y'all. And so I'm just like, shake it. And so another guy came up, and he was like, "Can I come up there?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on." And so there's video. And so in Germany, I was karaokeing, and I didn't give a shit. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't really put those kind of barriers because I like to have fun, and I don't care if I'm silly. I don't get easily embarrassed, and I think that's good. I think my fears stem from other things, like doing this podcast. I was terrified to do it. Terrified. And look at me now.
You think I was a little nervous prior to starting this? Would you like this? I'm sweating.
I know. The first time I did it, and it's my podcast, and it's like, I'm going to do this, and I'm terrified. You should probably go back to the first episode, and you'll see how I've grown so much. I really have. I feel so comfortable now. So I feel insane that I'm not trying to like pump myself up. Stop comparing, because I love that you said that, and just start. Just do it. So with the whole mindset thing, right? You're like, well, you have to think like this, and people are like, well, you just have to start, like with the rain or with the this. When I take a shower, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, for warm water. Do you know how many countries? And I'm half Dominican, half Puerto Rican. Dominicans don't have warm water. You know, a lot of them don't, and they barely have running water in some places. They fill up the bucket, and they have to heat it up on the stove to even get warm water. So it's starting as simple as that.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord, for warm water. Thank you for this wonderful shower, because that is gratefulness. So if you start little with little things, then your mindset starts to shift to the bigger stuff. So when shit hits the fan, you're like, okay, you're not all frazzled and rattled.
Correct.
You take from it what you can, and just know that is temporary. A lot of these feelings and emotions are temporary.
Everything's temporary.
Everything. And we think when we're in that darkness that this is it forever and ever and ever, and you can't even see the light at the end.
Exactly.
And you're like, I don't even know how I'm going to get out of this. But just knowing, and we need to keep talking about this, especially for young people that are just, you know, like, don't make permanent decisions like suicide for temporary feelings.
That's right.
And just learning to cope. I'm so big on that, because like you've been there, I've been there.
Yes.
And we realized if I had taken my life when I was 16, 21, I wouldn't have this beautiful life. I wouldn't have my husband, these kids. Yes. Well, at 21, I had my oldest. She wouldn't have a mother, because I took some pills at that age. Yeah. And I wasn't technically, quote unquote, trying to do it. I was just tired. I was tired. So all they did, went to the emergency room. They wanted to like probably admit me, and I kept saying, no, it was an accident. It was an accident. I stuck to it because I knew if I admitted to it that I would get, I wouldn't have any control over that. Right. So crazy thing is I was sound of mind, like to say, no, it was an accident. I didn't mean to take all those pills. And it was over the counter crap. So it was a cry for help. It wasn't that I wanted to die. I just didn't want to feel like this anymore.
Exactly.
My two younger ones wouldn't exist. So it's like everything is temporary. And you have to ask for help. And you have to, instead of doing that, like talk to someone. Talk to someone. Yeah, so I feel like this is so important to talk about.
It is, and you're right, like you said, especially the younger generations, because the younger generations are having to grow up really fast. They're under more pressure, and it's just so different today.
Yeah.
I mean, the mentality, it's, I mean, I know in history probably everybody said that, but seriously, it really is a different time.
I've said that many times on this. I've said that many times on this podcast, like, oh, every generation has their thing. And also, this is another thing that I want to talk about in a different podcast. We don't have to get too into it. But we're blaming this generation for being soft or weak or whatever. And I think we're the ones that are raising this generation. And I think we're going so far to the other spectrum of how our parents raised us that we don't want them to fail, and we don't want them to hurt. We don't want them to feel the feelings that we did. So we're protecting. It's a bubble. But how do we grow? We have to go through, so we have to fall in order to realize that, wow, we went through that and we got back up, and it made us stronger. And so as the parents of this generation, I feel like we're doing them a disservice. And I've been wanting to do a whole podcast about that. Instead of being way on the other end of the spectrum as our parents, it's kind of like balance it out, and let's try to get a little bit from what we want, a little bit from how they disciplined, and kind of bring it in the middle, because it goes hand in hand. There has to be some kind of discipline with love attached to it.
Absolutely.
To raise, and not saying that I think even the perfect, quote unquote, perfect parent is going to still raise a child that feels like something was lacking. It's just human nature. It's just human nature. But I do feel for this generation. I do, because there is a lot in their face. Plus, as parents, I feel like we're bubble wrapping them, a lot of us. I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, I've been wanting to talk about this, and so I just had to get on my soapbox for a minute. I would love to talk more about it with whoever wants to come on the podcast, talk about this generation and what we're doing to like harm them.
Well, but you made a good point, and this is a part of mindset. I mean, you have to fail a little bit to succeed. And even if you don't achieve exactly what you want, that's okay, because it's going to lead you to something better. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And also sometimes if you have a faith, like we do, sometimes we like to make our own decisions that God doesn't even want us to go down that road. But we're going down that road, and there's a block. He wants us to pivot. You have to realize, oh, this is not failure. I have to pivot somewhat. That path was not meant for me. And when you your mindset starts thinking that way, you don't see it as failure. It's more of, well, that's what I thought I wanted. Obviously, the universe, God, doesn't want me to go that way. So what does he really want for me? So it's about pivoting. It's not, oh, I failed. It's just that was not meant for me. Yeah. That was not in the cards for me.
That's why he gave us free will.
Exactly. Exactly.
I get it, because it's. I mean, I know some people that or at least at the time, thought they know what they wanted to do all their life, did it, boom, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, that's not what I want to do now. It happens. So
it's a pivot. You have to pivot. It's like, what do I really want? Yeah, and how do I get there?
Well, and you also don't know what life's going to throw at you, because, I mean, everything's changing. Technology's changing. I mean, all of a sudden, a job you had the skill set, knew it to do, one day might not be around. We have to be very adaptive.
Yes.
And I'm still working on that because it's funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I'm so complex. It's like, I want to change and do those things, but at the same time, I can be afraid of it.
Of course.
It's complicated. And that's also part of the mindset of what gets in our way. We get comfortable in our old habits. I think sometimes when we're trying to change, it even if it's for the better and gaining something, two things happen. It's like, once we get it, what if we lose it? How do we hang on to it? And then as we gain this, what are we going to lose that's behind us that we want to hang on to?
That's the conflict. I can relate to what you just said, like, so much.
Yes.
So much. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'll give you an example. It's so funny. When I started, like running with Tina and the ladies, it's like I already thought I was kind of fixed. I walked all the time and all that, but this was a whole new level. So it was a new challenge. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm starting to get a little obsessed with it and doing it, and more of my time's being occupied. And I walked in the house one day, and all of a sudden I looked at my husband, and it's like in my head I was going, gosh, I haven't seen him as much lately. I'm doing all these things, and all of a sudden I started going, gosh, I hope this doesn't affect our marriage.
You start going in.
Is that not stupid? I mean, I was like, why?
Yeah.
What? I think that it's like you're
living your best life, and now you're like, living my best life might ruin my marriage.
Yeah, it's like I didn't want him to feel left behind, which was silly because
that's very silly.
Because Riff,
because I'm sure he's happy for you and the change.
He's so happy, and it's like, why would I even think that? Because he's never tried to hold me back. Mm-hmm. Ever. Mm-hmm. And I think what it is, it's that keyword change. Because when you do change and gain those things, sometimes you will lose a few things to the wayside.
Ooh, that's the truth. I believe that, yeah.
But sometimes you might need to lose those things.
Yes.
Because what if those things you were hanging on to were holding you back?
Gosh, you are preaching, Lydia. Yes. Oh, yes.
It's just kind of coming out because it gets the wheels turning in your brain.
It's true.
And it's just because I think what it is because I love my friends so much. I love my husband. Like, I really just want everybody to be okay. And that is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But I also have to make sure I'm okay. If I'm not okay, I'm not going to be a good as friend as I could be. I'm not going to be as good as wife I could be, mother I could be. Mm-hmm. So it's all about balancing. It's like I still have a hard time saying no sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid of loss because I have had a lot of loss. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I worry about. Like, here's another mindset example.
That's what we're talking about. So I want all the examples so we can learn from this.
And this is going to be embarrassing, and Tina's going to get a kick out of this. But so when we all, I said when we all aligned back up and got back in each other's lives, which is fabulous. I remember one time I came home to Riff after a fun time together, and I was like, "Oh, it was a good day." And then all of a sudden I got a little teary-eyed, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't want to mess it up."
Oh. Lydia, you thought you were going to mess it up with the friends?
Yeah, because when you have anxiety... Mm-hmm.
You're so sweet.
When you have anxiety...
For those that don't know, because I don't have a camera, I'm going to start recording these so you can see. Tina's sitting here, even though she's not on the show. She is our support person today. So she just rubbed her back like, "Oh, Lydia, we love you."
That's anxiety. And when you have that old habit, because of that mindset, of that negative pattern, which can be caused by many things. Anxiety doesn't just have to bring it on. It can be PTSD. It's so many situations. Mm-hmm. It can be being around people and it rubs off on you.
Yeah. And
I've had that too. So when you have that, it's so easy. It creeps right back in. Mm-hmm. So it's like if it takes me putting a Post-it note on the mirror to say, "You are okay."
Yep.
If it takes me saying, "Stop that," like literally, I think I made Tina laugh one time because one time I was in the mirror and I looked at myself and I said, "Just stop it, you dumbass. Just stop it." And I was looking at myself. I said, "You are okay." And I was pointing at myself. My husband walked in and he goes, "Are you all right?" Yeah, he goes, "Okay."
I just told myself I'm okay. Why are you asking me if I'm okay?
I know. I swear. He probably thinks I'm like Sybil at the switch because I'm going, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just changed on. Oh, I'm fine.
Oh my God.
I swear he probably has a padded cell waiting for me.
This is when we have to thank God for these men who really know our hearts and know us and can walk into a bathroom and be like, "This chick is crazy, but I love her. I love her."
It's just like,
Oh my gosh, Lydia.
I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, even like yesterday, we were standing in front of each other, and there was a moment. I mean, as lovely as he is, we had a moment. And I looked at him, and I just looked at him, and I said, "You know how I get, just stop." I said, just walk away.
The demons came out. What did he do?
He was just being a horse's butt for a minute. Because I told him, I came in and it's not normal, because he's so pleasant most of the time. When it happens, it's like a culture shock, like, whoa. What happened? And then that's my fault, because I have to remember he is human.
Yes.
And
I think our husbands have to meet. They sound like they have the same temperament. Are you talking about when they get to a certain like heightened level of frustration?
Yes.
It's very rare.
It is.
So when they do, I'm like, well, damn. Where did this come from? But they are human. They are human. And we have to remember.
I remember telling him,
I can't be the only nutcase in the house. Like, we gotta,
He is allowed to have moments.
Exactly.
And I remember saying to him once I looked at him yesterday, I said, I am the one with the problems. It's not you. Remember? It's like,
Remember, I'm the one with the mental challenges.
yes.
You don't even know what anxiety feels like.
I'm HM, high maintenance, okay? It's just like,
Oh my God.
So it's, and I will even admit, like one time he had, without getting too deep into it, he had like a day, and some people that don't even have anxiety can have that moment or that day. Anybody can temporarily have it.
Of course, yeah.
And he had it, and I remember I went, in my head, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I was like, and so I was sitting and I just went, oh yeah, it's fine, you're okay. In my head, I'm going, holy crap. It's like, what am I going to do about this? And I even and I will admit, like, I use natural herbs for my functional medicine doctor, but I do have a little safety blanket, and it's called Xanax. It's for desperate times. I only break a half. It's not all the time. It takes a long time to get through it. I do not let it become addictive. Thank God.
Oh my God.
I'm very good.
Okay, I like Xanax. I took Xanax for the very first time. I got a boob reduction a year ago. And my blood pressure was so high because I was so nervous.
Ooh.
They're like, oh, we'll give you some Xanax before you take it, before you come in.
Yes.
I was like, is this what everyone's been talking about? This whole thing. I had never tried it before. I kind of like it, actually.
And
it kind of calms the nerves, doesn't it?
And that's why it's addictive.
I was like, cut my boobs, do what you need to do with them. I ain't nervous no more.
I know.
It brought my blood pressure down because they wouldn't take me back to the back until it went down. And it just... Yeah, they're like, how are you? We're going to do this and that. Yep, do what you need to do, doctor.
I know. I mean, it's like, and because Riff had, even though he's in the same field, it was still a different sector. And it was all new, a big change real fast. And even though good things are to come, it was a little nerve-wracking. And he's so I never seen that. So when I was like, oh, he's okay, and I was going, holy crap. And then when he was looking, I popped half the Xanax because I didn't know what to do.
It's a Xanax party. You get a Xanax.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. So I was just doing all the things I needed to do.
Oh my God.
I don't remember what I said to him, but it's like I pulled it together and I said,
Lydia, in that moment you had to be the strong one, didn't you? You had to be the rock. You didn't know what to do. I don't know how to be the rock sometimes either.
And it's funny because I can be, and I can be with other people, but I'm not used to it with my husband. He's Turkish, and I mean, you wouldn't know it. He sounds American. He's been here since 2003, and he learned English as well in Turkey. But it's natural in his culture. Like they're very protective and caring of their wives. He wants to always take care of me. Like bless his heart, I bit his head off because I'm telling you. This part reminds me of my dad. I could sneeze or cough or go, or make the slightest noise. Are you okay?
Aww.
And then, I don't know, I can have my days like, I can just be up there and I make a little noise at a movie. No big deal, like something that scares you or something. He goes, are you okay? And I'm like, it's just a movie. Stop asking me that. You've asked me that 10 times. Now shut the fuck up. He wouldn't let me watch my movie. Because I went, 5 times in a movie. I'm not dying. I just saw a very scary monster in a movie, okay? It's not a big deal.
He loves you.
He does.
That is patience.
Oh my
I love
God.
it. It's like, I think God knew we needed patient men. Yeah, I think so. I think otherwise I wouldn't be here, because a guy that couldn't kind of comfort me would not do well in this marriage. I think we probably would have been divorced. How long have you been married anyways, Lydia?
It'll be 20 years this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and
that's a long time. And you said it's your second marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
My son is 27, and he doesn't really have a relationship with his biological dad, so Riff is like his dad. And they're very close. I'm very fortunate.
It's the same with my oldest. Philip is not her biological father, but I mean, he's her father. Yeah.
I mean, anybody can make a baby, but being a parent is a whole different thing.
Yes.
But it's funny. Rafat is 5 years younger than me, and I remember I was hesitant when I was dating him, but he's more mature than me. I swear he is. I'm just like, oh my God, how did this happen? But truly, I mean, to be positive, God forbid if something happened to him. I know there are people out there you can meet, but I'm telling you, I told Rip, I said, if God were to take you from me, God forbid, I said, I'm telling you, I said, there's no 3 times the charm. That's it. I'm done. I'll be a happy widow. Yeah. That's what I'll just have to do. Yeah. Because I'll tell you, I admit it, I am a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. and I've always said that too. I'm like, I hate to think about that.
Yeah.
If that were to happen, I would be the worst dater, because no one's going to be able to even compare to that. Yes. I'm not going to give you 3 strikes, 4 strikes. No, 1, maybe 2. You done. Bye. Like, my husband was amazing, and you can't come. Like, I would be the biggest. I would, because I used to be a people pleaser, and like,
yes,
I don't want to hurt people's feelings, so I'm going to go on this date because, he asked me, and instead of saying no, no. I would have a totally different mindset. I've been through some things. I've been with the person that really, truly understands me, and despite my craziness, and love my craziness, and I would just not do well. Like, maybe someone I can go and have like dinner with, maybe, but not
a little companion with no strings attached.
Like a little someone. Hey, you want to go see a movie? But no, no. It would be very hard. So I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, it's like, I'll go to the movies with you, but I'm not kissing you.
No, like, listen, and if you look at me sideways, that's a wrap. I don't need you like that. Yeah. I don't need this.
Yeah,
I always say, I'll be the biggest bitch. I'd be like, listen, this is not going well for me. Get up in the middle of dinner. You know what? Like, I don't want to like pretend like this is a good dinner. Like, I'm done. Bye. Good life. Maybe then, so.
And and that's also what's fabulous about being in your 50s. What I've noticed, it's easier for me to really say what's on my mind. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You get a little braver.
You do. And I've always heard that about women. So I'm 43, but I've always heard women say that when they get in their 50s. Like,
yes,
you've lived so much life that you just don't really give a shit. I feel like there's some women that probably never get to that point. True. And I kind of feel sad for them.
Yes.
Because it is truly empowering to be able to speak your mind, not in a mean way,
right,
but in a very, because there's some people that know how to speak their mind, but it's not in a kind way, or it's not coming from a place of empowerment. It's just, you're just spewing whatever. But when it comes from a place of being centered, and you know yourself, and you're just standing up for yourself. And it can be in a very calm way. You can be talking like this, but the words that are coming out of your mouth are very serious. Yes. And that's, I think, even scarier than someone yelling. Don't you think? Like, this person's calm and their words are very strong. And it's like, what the hell? Because I'm used to these words coming out of someone who's angry and like spewing. So that, to me, is a place of empowerment. Like, when you master that, it comes from a place of like, damn, I know myself. And I don't need to yell at you. And I don't need to go in on you. I'm coming from a place of, this is how I feel. Take me or leave me. And if you're not meant to, like when you said about your friends, like, oh, I hope I don't ruin this. You know, I understand coming from a place of being anxious. However, if these people are meant to be in your life, and if one little thing bothers them about you, they're not meant to be in your life. And if they understand your quirks, then okay, then they're meant to be there. Then that is a true friend. And so, yeah.
Absolutely, because it's so funny because that's and again, I blame myself because it's like I allowed myself to be. I allowed myself to get like that, but I remember being around these that I thought were good people, but toxic people, and it was like you had to be perfect all the time. You couldn't have a bad day. You couldn't have anxiety. And it's like, you know, they would make you feel like you were a freak or something. Like I had a tough time where my hormones were just off and my thyroid is off. And when that happens, you are not the same person. Yeah. You can get back. And it's like, and I had the tools to say, hey, I'm not myself. Just don't take me personally. I'm so sorry. But we're going to have our off days. See, to me, I'm always hardest on myself because somebody could be in front of me and just... But, you know, I'm a very forgiving person, you know, but it's always afraid of like, oh, they're not going to want to be around me. And so you have to change that mindset. And if you think about it, we incorporate that in everyday life. I mean, like, look how you came to be with your podcast. You know, you have a positive mindset. You got there. And because of your positive mindset, automatically, like there's actually science backed by this. It's the RAS system. And so
it's called
RAS. Okay. Reticular activating system. So it's like it's a network of neurons in the brain, and just like the key word you said earlier, it acts like a gatekeeper, a filter in your brain. So what it's doing, it starts recognizing, like you started thinking about the podcast and what you wanted to do. So what happens, it starts making that a priority in your conscious, and the other things that are now becoming of a less priority into your subconscious. For example, let's say you want a new car. You started noticing the Range Rover, okay? And all of a sudden, now think about it. You're out. How many Range Rovers are out there? A ton. But you didn't really notice them a lot until you wanted one. See what I'm saying?
That is so true.
Because of that, your brain, I mean, if you think about it, our brain is very flexible. It's bendable. We can retrain our brain. We really can. Like, for instance, let's say all of a sudden that Rover is not... for some reason, like, okay, everybody has these. I want something different now. So now you start to notice a different kind of vehicle, and all of a sudden it switches. Yeah. Because if I remember this correctly, I mean, it's just like a nanosecond. I mean, it just changes. Yeah. Like that in your brain. And it's fascinating because if you think about that, because of that, that means we have so much more power over our mind than we think. Yes. Think about it. We can make ourselves sick. Seriously. I mean, that was another thing that clicked in. Going back in the journal, when I was sick, I was like, why is one thing after another happening to me? And it was because, well, anxiety definitely puts stress on the central nervous system for sure. But it was like, because I was feeling sick and negative and the whole thing and not believing I was going to get better, guess what? Another thing hopped on. And then another thing hopped on. And another thing hopped on. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So now, when I started changing my mindset and looking at everything, like Riff was telling me all along, he said, this is temporary. It's not forever. It's going to be okay.
But you felt like it was going to be forever and that it wasn't going to be okay when you were in your negative mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Because so no wonder I was staying sick. So then now I find myself, if I have a moment where something flares up or something's going on, I will just automatically say, okay, calm down. It's going to be okay. And if it turns out to not quite be okay, I'm going to take steps to get control over this. You know, like I had to practice it today. I had a doctor's appointment. Everything's fine. But, you know, my immune system's been a little hooky for a couple of months. Everybody's going through it. The cold pollen combination, the lingering coughs, the whole thing. So it's made my inflammation levels kick up a little bit. But, you know, the doctor's like, you know, I'm sure it's fine. This is what I hate what someone do sometimes, though. That's why I call my functional medicine doctor afterwards. But she goes, you know, just in case, I want you to get some blood work because I'm a little concerned, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, and I literally said to her, I said, you know, you kind of just, you're making me anxious. Could you stop? I'm sure I'm fine. And she goes, well, I've had patients say that before and they weren't. And I said, are you kidding me right now? I literally said that. I said, you need to stop. Because I said, I'm about to have a panic attack on you. And so I'm going to the parking lot. And then what happens? It's like I couldn't find my car because I was panicking. I had tunnel vision. See, when you get negative in a mindset, you don't see anything right. You see tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. So then I just stopped, used my tools, took a breath, and then called my functional medicine doctor. I said, I'm going to get this blood work done in the morning, and it's going to be fine either way. I am not going to worry about this because sometimes, too, if you worry about something too much, it's called self-fulfilling prophecy. Because I really do wonder if some of the things that did happen to me in the past, I wonder if I exacerbated some of those symptoms by worrying about it so much. I created some of that stuff.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And going back to our brains being, I think you said flexible and bendable.
Yes.
And I know before we got on the mic, on the podcast, on the microphones, we were talking about manifestation.
Yes.
And like you just said, it could be positive or it could be negative. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're trying to manifest, it will happen.
Yes.
It will happen. It will.
It will.
Either way. And I really, truly believe in that. And I think the mind is a very, very powerful thing. Now, you just said tools. You use your tools. What tools have you learned to help you with your panic, with your anxiety, with having a better mindset, a positive mindset? What do you do?
Well, it's various things. Well, for one thing that's really helped me a lot, and it's funny because I've read this in a science journal, but it's actually healthy for you to practice gratitude, even in a gratitude journal, once a day. And it doesn't even matter if you say the same thing you're grateful for, but practicing gratitude, being optimistic, meditation. I cannot tell you enough about that because it calms the central nervous system down. And, you know, I just you can visualize a white light, whatever color you like, that is like a healing light. And there have been times and stuff, I'm trying to go deeper. I'm trying to do transcendental meditation. That is a big challenge. I'm trying because that is a deeper level in the brain. And I almost started to get in my own way because I was like, okay, what if I get in so deep I can't get out?
I've thought about that. There's that thing in therapy. Is it called EMR or it's something where it's like the therapist is trying to make you go deeper to find out the root cause. And so what's it called?
Hypnotherapy.
It's not something that? Deeper than that. It's It's like, it's some initials. It's EMR, DM.
I think I know what you're trying to say.
It's not necessarily hypnotizing.
Okay.
But it's taking you, I've never done it, but I've always thought, that'd be interesting. What if I don't really know? I mean, I know some of my issues. What if they take me way too far deep into my childhood about something that I completely forgot? So I can relate to that. It's like, I don't know if I want to go there. I don't know if I want to go that deep.
I know, because when you get really deep, you can remember things because we all have these memories stored, but some are suppressed.
Yep.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
But I've even done, I went through a period of time where I did neurofeedback therapy too.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
That is where they work with your brain waves. And they get, like when you start, they put this little cap on with these wires going. They do a brain map.
Okay, I've seen that.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I'm not quite sure how it all works, but basically I was sitting in front of a TV with these little round sticky things on my head. Not the cap, because that's when they just did a first map to see overall what's going on. And you can watch anything, a documentary, a movie, and somebody's sitting there and they're dimming and brightening the light and doing these things, changing the brightness of that screen, and it's doing something to your brain waves. It's interesting because, again, to get better, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom again, because when I first started it, I was on a just euphoric high. I felt so balanced. It was helping the anxiety, and he was actually treating women in menopause going through anxiety. And so then what happens is when your brain, I remember this doctor at the time, this doctor's name was Dr. Suter, very, very good doctor. That this was his practice. It was at the time, I think it's still there, it was called New Mind Center. And all of a sudden I was driving to one of the sessions, and all of a sudden I just didn't feel safe. Something was off. I felt weird. And I remember, and I have to, and again, it's so very important to look at everything with a sense of humor, even in the darkest times. I remember sitting there with Riff when I was going through that hard time, because I had it before. And I said, I'm going to go to bed, but I'm going to sleep in another room, and I want you to lock your door.
Just in case, huh?
Just in case. I was so scared. It was, the term is angst. You all of a sudden become afraid. Oh my gosh, what if I lose my mind? Do something to me, do something. Like, it's, and what it is, and Dr. Suter explained it, when you have anxiety, your brainwaves are used to being in chaos all the time. So think of a really tight cord, and you're unraveling it. And even though you're unraveling that cord and it's trying to become straighter, it still has kinks in it, right? So when it still has kinks, it takes a while for those kinks to even out and become smooth. He said your brain has been used to chaos for so many years, so it's fighting you, trying to become better. But I gotta tell you, that was scary.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure.
It was tough. But so Susan knew that, and it's funny, like the neurofeedback therapy, it was interesting because there were also sessions where it would just be dark, and you had, again, those wires to your head and all that. But he would play these certain sounds and noises, and you would listen for a bell and all these other things. And as this was happening, and I had my eyes closed, I was seeing all these colors, blue, white, it felt like healing colors. And it's interesting, it stuck with me because when I meditate, I see those same colors. Because in the beginning, I was seeing other colors like turquoise, and it was just weird. I can't explain it, but it really, there are so many processes I went through. But getting back to the point, the tools. So gratitude is one.
Okay. And before we move on,
sure,
it's EMDR, because I don't want to butcher it. EMDR, yes. That's what it is. Where you kind of, I've never done it, but I've heard other people talk about it, where you just go deep to kind of get to the root cause of anxiety, depression. So just look that up for whoever's interested in EMDR. Come back next week to continue part 2 of Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life. Lydia and I continue the conversation. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago Virago24_7 and on Facebook at Virago24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.